choosing to follow the Lord is a one-time decision. You know, that moment when you are born again and you have your salvation experience, and they tend to think it's a one-time decision. But you know, over and over and over in your life, God will come to you and He'll say, it's time to make a decision. And over again, you'll be presented with the choice, the option. Will you choose Him or will you choose other things in your life? And you know, one of the things that I've found is that the greatest freedom I've ever experienced in my life is letting myself be broken before the Lord. It doesn't make sense to the natural mind, but to allow the Lord to completely break you and reshape who you are, there's actually an incredible freedom in being bound to the Lord. See, you're going to be bound by something. You're either going to be bound by the world or you're going to be bound by the Lord. And true freedom is getting to a place in your life where you can actually say, I'm not my own. True freedom is not being able to say, I'm free to do what I want. True freedom is being able to say, I'm not my own. He is mine. I am His. Lord, do with me whatever you want. And you know, there's stages of that. All throughout your life, the Lord will require more. And at that moment, you'll have to make a decision, and it could sting, it could hurt. But after you've made that decision and you allow the Lord to break you again in brokenness before Him again, you find yourself actually entering into another level of freedom. You know, it's kind of like a potter coming to a piece of pottery. You do not look right now like the way you will look in God's perfect picture of you. And we all say we want God to get us to our destiny, get us to our place of fulfillment, get us to our place of fullness. But like a pot that has a certain shape to it, the potter has to come to that pot and he has to break it. He has to break it into a million pieces. And then he has to begin to water it and soften it and get it back to the place where he can begin to reshape that clay into what he wants it to be. And then you go through that season of, you've allowed the Lord to break you. Then you have the watering of the Lord and He's softening you, and that's the good times. And you think, oh, that's it. And then all of a sudden the potter comes and he puts you in the fire. Then he takes you out of the fire, soaks you some more. Oh, we love that. You think it's all over. No, but then he puts you in the fire again. You know, the processes of the Lord, the world does not understand, but they don't understand that true freedom is not having having whatever you want. True freedom is being so bound by the Lord that you have the fullness of Him in your life. That's something that the world has not tasted of and they need to taste, but the church needs to taste of it first. People don't understand it until you have a real encounter with God. When you have real encounters with Him, you begin to realize nothing in this world compares. That's why the supernatural is so important for the church, because unless you have a supernatural lifestyle of intimacy with Him, then you're left to just play the church game. And the world looks at the church as being more bound than them. The world is longing, actually, to see a believer that's truly flowing in the raw presence and power of God. The world wants that. The world wanted Jesus. It was the religious people that didn't want Him. And it just, time and time again in my life, I know when I can feel it coming. But I remember there was a certain time in my life where I was with Bob Jones at one time, and And he gave me a word. He said, Ryan, in this next year of your life, he said, you've gone through different seasons of brokenness before the Lord and giving yourself up to the Lord. But he said, in this next season in your life, he said, I see you putting your ear against the door and allowing the Lord to pierce you. In other words, allowing the Lord to fully claim who you are. And you know, when I begin to go through things in my life that don't seem fair to me, I don't have right to complain anymore. See, we don't like to hear this message. I don't have right anymore. Because in the end, I end up going back to the Lord. I'm saying, Lord, I'm not my own. I'm yours. And if you want to exalt me famous around the nations or throw me out like a penny, it's up to you. But the thing is that when you've lowered yourself and humbled yourself and allowed yourself to be broken like that, the Lord's going to pour blessing out on you like you've never imagined. But you have to be willing, if the Lord were to exalt you over the nations or present you like a penny, Lord, it's up to you. It's pretty quiet in here. The power that Jesus flowed from was because even before he hung on that cross, he was already crucified. Jesus was a dead man. I don't know why I'm sharing this. Some of you just need to hear this. Jesus flowed in the happiness and the joy and the peace and the power and the presence. I believe Jesus was the happiest man on earth. He was the freest man on earth. But it was because he was a dead man. He was completely dead to anything the world could offer him. And I know that from his life because in the garden, when he knew he was going to be ripped to shreds, he went in the garden and he went before the Father and he said, if this is what you want from me, I'll do it. That's a dead man. And you know, some of the deepest places of intimacy I have ever experienced in my life with the Lord are the moments that I tried to avoid the most. My deepest places of intimacy and my most incredible encounters in my life have been when the Lord was killing me. I found him and experienced him in a way that I didn't know was possible. That's why Paul said, everything in this world I've experienced, he said, I was from the best tribe. I had the best education. I could quote the word better than anybody. But he said, all of that is dung compared to knowing him. And he said, oh, that I might know him and the fellowship of his sufferings. I always wondered what that meant. The fellowship of his sufferings. See, Paul found that in being a dead man to the world, which involves a level of suffering because you're denying certain things. What he found, though, is that by allowing the Lord to fully break him and denying the things of the world, that he found the most greatest treasure that's ever existed. And he found that in that brokenness was the highest and the deepest level of fellowship with the Lord.